The next important property of colloidal solution is electrophoresis. The movement of colloidal particles under an applied electrical potential is called electrophoresis. Let's see the figure. Here you can see a U-tube. U-tube have two electrode, anode and cathode. This anode and cathodes are connected with a electrical source like battery, like that electrical source. Inside the U-tube filled with the colloidal solution, and here the colloidal solution is negatively charged colloidal solution, and the dispersion medium is water. Negatively charged colloidal solution means the dispersed particle is negatively charged. When the electrical potential or electricity applied, what will happen to the U-tube? When we apply electrical potential, the negatively charged colloidal particles will start to move towards positively charged cathode. Here you can see the movement. Already I said that colloidal solution is negatively charged. When we apply electrical potential, the negatively charged colloidal solution will move towards cathode. And this movement of colloidal particles under electrical potential is called electrophoresis. And this electrophoresis is due to the presence of charge on colloidal solution. If colloidal solution is positively charged, move towards cathode, while negatively charged colloidal particles move towards anode. That means it will move towards oppositely charged electrode. Electroosmosis. When electrophoresis is prevented by some suitable means, it is observed that the dispersion medium begins to move in an electric field. This phenomenon is termed as electroosmosis. That is, if we are stopping the movement of colloidal particles or electrophoresis, that time instead of colloidal particle or dispersed particle, dispersion medium will start to move, and this movement is called electroosmosis. Coagulation or precipitation. The process of settling of colloidal particles is called coagulation or precipitation of the salt, or conversion of colloidal particles into precipitate is also called coagulation. The coagulation of the lyophobic salts can be carried out in the following ways. The first method of coagulation of lyophobic salt is electrophoresis. In electrophoresis, the colloidal particles move towards oppositely charged electrode. Then colloidal particle will discharge that electrode and form a precipitate near to that electrode. Why it form precipitate? Because colloidal particles have a charge and the electrode have opposite charge. So due to the movement of charges towards opposite charged electrode, there is a chance of neutralization. Due to neutralization, near to the electrode, precipitation will take place. So electrophoresis leads to precipitation of colloidal particles due to neutralization of charge. By mixing two oppositely charged salts. Oppositely charged salts when mixed neutralize their charges and get precipitated. Example, mixing of positively charged hydrated ferric oxide colloid and negatively charged arsenious sulfide colloid bring them in the precipitated forms. This type of coagulation is called mutual coagulation. By boiling. When the colloid is boiled, the adsorbed layer is distributed due to increased collisions with the molecules of dispersion medium. This reduces the charge on the adsorbed layer or fixed layer and they settle down in the form of precipitate. The next method of coagulation is by persistent dialysis. On prolonged or continuous dialysis, traces of the electrolyte on the salt is removed and the colloid become unstable and coagulate. The next important method of coagulation is addition of electrolytes. When excess of an electrolyte is added, the colloidal particles are precipitated. The reason is that charged colloids interact with the ions carrying opposite charge from the electrolyte. This causes neutralization leading to their coagulation. The ion from electrolyte responsible for neutralization of charge on colloidal particles is called coagulating ion or flocculating ion. A negative ion from electrolyte causes the precipitation of positively charged colloid, and a positive ion from electrolyte causes the precipitation of negatively charged colloid. Hardy-Schulz rule. The greater the valency of the flocculating ion or coagulating ion added, the greater is its power to cause precipitation. This is known as Hardy-Schulz rule. In the coagulation of a negatively charged colloid, the coagulating power of electrolytes is in the order aluminum plus 3 is greater than barium plus 2 greater than Na plus electrolyte. That is, when we add aluminum chloride electrolyte to a negative charged colloid, precipitation becomes faster because in aluminum chloride charge of aluminum is plus 3. So due to the higher positive charge, it can easily precipitate or it can easily neutralize negative charged colloid. But in the case of sodium chloride, charge of sodium is only plus 1. So the neutralization of negative charged colloid is slow. So precipitating power of Na plus is less. So according to Hardy-Schulz rule, greater the charge of coagulating ion, greater will be the cause of precipitation. In the coagulation of a positive salt, the coagulating power is in the order hexacyanoferrate greater than phosphate and sulfate, because in the first compound the charge of complex is minus 4. So total 4 negative charge, so it can easily neutralize positive charged colloid and the precipitation process become faster. But in the case of sulfate ion, charge is minus 2, so the precipitation power is less. Clear? This is about Hardy-Schulz rule. Coagulating value. The minimum concentration of an electrolyte in millimoles per liter required to cause precipitation of a salt in 2 hours is called coagulating value. The smaller the quantity needed, the higher will be the coagulating power of an ion. Coagulation of lyophilic salts. There are 2 factors which are responsible for the stability of lyophilic salts. These factors are the charge and solvation of colloidal particles. When these 2 factors are removed, a lyophilic salt can be easily coagulated. This is done by adding an electrolyte and by adding a suitable solvent. Protective colloids. Lyophilic salts are more stable than lyophobic salts. They can protect lyophobic colloids. When a lyophilic salt is added to a lyophobic salt, the lyophilic particles form a layer around lyophobic particles and thus protect the lyophobic from electrolytes. Lyophilic salts used for this purpose are called protective colloids. Emulsions. Emulsions are colloids in which both the dispersion medium and dispersion phase are liquids. Emulsions are of 2 types, namely oil in water and water in oil type. Oil in water type. In this colloid, oil is dispersed phase and water acts as dispersion medium. Example of this type of emulsion are milk and vanishing cream. In milk, liquid fat is dispersed in water. Water in oil type. Like these colloids, water is dispersed phase and oil acts as dispersion medium. Common example of this type are butter and cream. Emulsification. The process of making emulsions is called emulsification. Emulsions are stabilized by adding emulsifying agent or stabilizers.